Modern travel size board games. Yes or no? And my first thought in exploring this hobby question was initially, I was like, yeah, I'd be into that. I'd love to have that. But then I thought, I don't think there's a market for that anymore for various reasons. And outside of the novelty of it, if I really purchased that, would I actually really use it, or would I be better off taking that $50, $60, $70 and putting it towards the regular full-size title or perhaps another title? Now, maybe you remember back in the day, travel size board games or compact board games. Now, I wasn't around for Ogre when it was first released or some of those smaller pocket games, but I understood the idea was, besides being easy to print, the idea was it was small. It was travel size. You could play it anywhere. And I remember a couple of the guys from the Historical Gaming Club back in the day being like, they play Ogre on their lunch hour. Now, this was analog. Digital doesn't even exist. I mean, you're maybe hanging out on your Heathkit or your K-Pro doing something like that. But that was your aspect of a small travel compact game. And then I think the zenith was maybe back in the day, if you were there, and I was kind of there, playing like Travel Battleship or smaller peg-based games that you'd bring on a trip or on the airplane or maybe going to a family-type event. I remember Cabin in the Woods, family retreats, family reunions, having some of these travel games and playing them from that perspective. This now evolves to today. And what got me thinking about this, there was the novelty perspective of Zombicide Modern, the re-imaging of it. There's a travel size Zombicide. And I thought that would be kind of cool. Like, would you buy into something like that? And again, my first impulse was like, yeah, if I was going to go travel or wanted to bring a pocket size to play, that could be a lot of fun. That could be really, really cool. But then I thought, would I ever play it? And what space would it occupy in my collection? Well, now we're at the point where certainly there's board games out there that are massive, massive, massive table hogs. Dark Souls, the board game, I love it. It's a table hog. If I was going away to a family retreat or I was going to be traveling to go somewhere, I'm not bringing Dark Souls unless it's like a convention or something specific. I have brought Pathfinder the Adventure card game, Settlers, other games that have a smaller footprint. I won't say they're travel size or pocket size, but they have a small footprint. I can easily accommodate those games at a location that is outside of my house, the Fritz Cave, or going to play at a hobby store or a friend's house. There are enough games out there that have that smaller footprint. But in terms of a travel game, when I have had to travel for work at night, right before I go to bed, I want to unwind a little bit. I'm going to a conference. I've got some meetings afterwards. We're going to go out to dinner. We're going to network. We're going to do all that. And I enjoy that. And it's a lot of fun. But then winding things down, I don't want to kind of like mindlessly watch TV. So there have been times where I have brought with me a very, very small footprint travel game. A perfect example, Warhammer Quest, the card game. Side note, fantastic card-based dungeon crawler. Was so great with the rules that Games Workshop killed it and took it away from Fantasy Flight. It's out of print, but there are still copies available out in the wild, new, unopened, for $25. It's very, very interesting. But the footprint's very small. The box is very small. It's so small you can take the cards out of the box and easily have them. I have them sleeved up. I have brought that with me to travel to just set up in the hotel room. Just flip some cards, unwind, and play. So I understand there might be a small market for that, but then there are other times when I've had to travel. I try to go by train as opposed to flying. I just bring digital at this point. I've got my tablet. Battery lasts forever. I've got Talisman on there. I've got Settlers on there. I've got Lords of Waterdeep on there. If I'm looking at board games, not to mention role-playing games and other things, that I feel like the digital aspect on small handheld devices, I'm not even getting into portable video games, It's that digital market has completely destroyed the need for an analog travel version. So I think the example of Zombicide, it's a novelty. It was a buy-in, optional buy-in. It's kind of a novelty. Would it be kind of cool to have different pocket editions of some of the more popular games? I just don't think it would generate enough. It just would not generate enough. If you had a small Hero Quest, Pocket Hero Quest. I mean, I know we've got the card game that was out there for a little bit before it went DOA, but we're going to play digital. And that aspect also in production, it would be so expensive because it's a smaller market. Who's really going to pay $50, $70, $80 for that game? That's a whole nother title. So your thoughts, your perspective on that, I think that was a time that has passed, a time that has moved on, where the advent of tablets and powerful digital handheld devices with board game ports that are literally one-to-one. Talisman and Waterdeep, even if they're not your necessarily type of game to play, the mechanics and the visuals are exactly dead on. So it's just easier to play and unwind and bring that, although I do prefer analog for the interaction over digital. But in terms of practicality, I think it's a different time, a different era. I don't see really travel-based games anymore. Your thoughts and your opinions on that, and just out of curiosity, if you could print a travel-based game, or you could see that, what would make a really self-contained, neat little pocket edition that you could bring and travel with, but it could also stand up to the main event?